In addition to lack of disability services guidance, parents wanting me to live at home and commute, grade 9 depression, and not so good grades and bad SAT scores, there's another reason I accidentally missed on what caused me to end up at temporary school. Here it is. The Quinary reason what caused me to end up at temporary school is because I didn't have enough instrumental performance experience from when I was in high school. In addition to better grades and better SAT scores, more performance experience on your resume can also help you get into a better college as a music major, especially a big music school like Yale University, University of Michigan, and more. Unfortunately for me, I don't have enough performance experience from when I was in high school. I was in concert choir for 1 year in high school, chamber choir for 2 years, concert band for 3 years, and wind ensemble for 1 year. If I didn't deal with the grade 9 depression from issues occurring in school, family, and life in general, if I got into chamber choir first time junior year, if Uncle George's work responded in a much better manner and George didn't end up moving to Los Angeles, if Aunt Darlene continued to work, if my grandma moved into a condo or a senior living home instead of a little apartment built onto the back of my aunt and uncle's house after she sold her old house, if I was able to get extra help in Algebra 2 and chemistry without moving back into the collaborative classes, if they would have told me ahead of time that my SATs were going to go past lunchtime, if the college board only invalidated scores on things you have control over, if someone told me ahead of time that it was only English and math to study for the SAT, if I wrote red and white as a way to get into the better colleges, who knows if those would have been enough to get into the more selective colleges. I didn't audition for wind ensemble at my school when I was a junior in high school because I thought that doing 2 major ensembles would be too much for 2 years. Band has a middle level for all players, whereas choir only has a middle level for females. I didn't realize that it wouldn't be a big deal to do 2 advanced ensembles for 2 years. I thought it would be too much, but I realized it's not too much. When I was in middle school, I did this big orchestra group called Greater Bridgeport Youth Orchestra for 2 years. I stopped doing it when I entered high school. Despite the fact I worked hard to get into symphony orchestra, and despite me practicing every day, I made concert orchestra for the 3rd time in a row. I didn't want to do concert orchestra for 3 years. In addition to that, I also had confirmation class on Sundays, and it would be too much for me to have 2 things going on the weekends and never get a moment of relaxing. Especially hard since we signed up for confirmation class at last minute because my parents weren't organized in signing me up ahead of time. Despite the fact I received First Communion, reconciliation, and have Catholic blood in me and no Jewish blood in me, my parents didn't sign me up for CCD in 8th grade to receive confirmation, even though they should have done it. I had to pressure them to sign me up for confirmation class, since I have Catholic blood and no Jewish blood, received First Communion, and received reconciliation. I was thinking about auditioning for GBYO sophomore year of high school, but decided not to because my friends told me that he was over-challenged when he worked hard to get into principal orchestra. In addition, my freshman year of high school, my family bought a vacation house in Vermont, so with going up to Vermont a lot, it took up my time from doing GBYO, especially since we didn't rent out the Vermont home during the weekends we weren't available. If we would have rented out the Vermont house when we first bought it, then in addition to making enough money, I could have had a more likely chance on doing Greater Bridgeport Youth Orchestra. When I was in high school, my lesson teacher recommended me to audition for the Connecticut region. I didn't audition for the Connecticut region for personal reasons. Well, I then later regretted it.